Cybernova podcast, hosted by Paul Jackson.
Welcome to the THEOS Cybernova podcast. Season 2 is well underway, and today I have a very special guest in a very special environment. We're here live at the THEOS Cyber offsite. We have the entire company in front of us, and I'm here with the leader of our offensive security department. His name is Jayson Vallente, or better known to all of us as JV. JV, welcome to the podcast.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you because we want to learn more about what your role is, not only in the company, but also in the community, because you're one of the great leaders in offensive security. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into OffSec and how you came to end up as a leader in THEOS?
Sure, definitely. So, looking back to my experience, I would say I've just been very lucky to really have been to have a lot of mentors. So I started actually, as I think most of everyone here started from more of an IT admin background. And then afterwards, I really liked security. Also been thinking about it, been curious about it. And then when I moved to my company in HP, that's where I met my first mentor. He was apparently my onboarding buddy, but he was actually also the founder of ROOTCON, Dax Labrador. So when I met him, of course, I didn't know who he was then. He was just my onboarding buddy, but we talked a lot about servers, talk about security, and then that's when I asked him, how do you know a lot about this, and I would like to know more about it. And he was very happy to invite me to the gatherings of ROOTCON. It was called Beer Talk then. So that's where he became my first mentor. He told me what I need to learn, what I need to study. Then I got really I fell in love with it, of course, and then I decided to move out of IT, move into information security, and then that's where I met my second mentor. He's my second mentor because he gave me a chance to from having no background security to be a system administrator for a bank. My next mentor was Dan Duplito, who was the CISO of one of the banks here in the Philippines. So was also awarded as the CISO of the year in Asia at that time. So I was really very fortunate to have him as my mentor. And then, so after my experience with being an InfoSec in the bank, I decided, no, I really want to pursue it. So I went into consulting. I think that time there were no offensive security yet.
Right.
Offensive security team in the Philippines as of that time. So I went to Singapore. I did some consulting, and then my mentor from HP before Dax, he called me out and said, "Hey, Jay, I think it's time for you to go back to the Philippines. We are forming the first pen test team in the Philippines, which was HP Fortify in Demand in Manila." So when I got the call, I said, I want to be part of it. So I came back home, and then I was part of the pioneer team for HP Fortify on Demand. And then, of course, I learned a lot from there. And then that's when I started to learn about management and being a leader. At the time, it was more of due to circumstances. There were no managers at that time, and instead of having the team be under someone who we didn't know, I might as well step up. So I step up. I was given a chance to be a manager, and then I enjoyed that role, being able to just really guide new people in security, being able to support the team on same-minded people who really love security, and being able to support them, give them exciting projects. So that's where I got really excited about. And then after HP, I think that's when a lot of my next roles were about starting teams. So after HP, I was my previous boss in HP moved to Spider Labs, Trustwave. So he asked me to form Spider Labs in Manila. So at the time I moved to Trustwave Spider Labs. I started the first team of Spider Labs in Manila. Started about 3 people, grew it to about 30. And then, like I said, I was enjoying the being able to really just, have really passionate people who love security, and being able to grow them and support them, and, being able to start something, build something, and grow it. It's one of the things that really excited me. And then afterwards, that's when I think there were a couple more things I tried, but I think in the end, that's when I met Alex. And of course, we had I was very impressed with his vision, what he wanted to do with Theos at the time, and then his vision for the kind of team that he wanted to have. And then so I joined the team. I joined Theos with also the same mindset of growing another team, but this time also with the values and the with what I really wanted to have for my team. And so that's when I started Theos, and now we have the offense team with us. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of the team that we have right now. They're not only very cool guys, but they're all very skilled and also just very fun to be with. So I love the culture.
Right. And I love the way you refer to them as cool guys, because yes, they definitely are. ROOTCON, you mentioned ROOTCON. And look, we're here in Pampanga at the moment for the offsite. And when I was driving up here, I drove past the new venue, the Royce venue. I mean, it's pretty exciting. It's huge. It's a beautiful looking venue. And, it's kind of filled me with a sense of excitement for ROOTCON, which is obviously happening in September 24th to 26th. Is that right?
That is right. That's correct. Yeah.
So to take us back a little bit, I mean, ROOTCON, you said it started as what? BeerCon?
Yeah, so it started as a very small gathering of, people who were very passionate about, hacking and information security. So it was initially started as beer talk. So we go into a bar, we have some beers, and we just talk about hacking. We just, have some challenges. And then it was, just a gathering of really, like-minded people. And then it grew. So it just, it grew and grew. It started for about just 30 folks in a bar. Then it was going into 50 to about 100. So it was time for us to really consider it as being a conference.
Yep.
So when we started, we wanted to be like the bigger conference, which was DEFCON in US. So we coined it as DEFCON PH. So during, I think, our third or fourth run, it was called DEFCON PH. But at the time, DEFCON's originally said that we can't use the brand DEFCON itself. So we changed it. It went into a lot of name changes, but ultimately it went into what it's now called as ROOTCON. So like I mentioned, it started from a small gathering of individuals who love security, and then when it was growing, it just became a conference, and the goal remained to be the same. It was not about business. It's not about products. It was really just people gathering. We wanted to be a neutral ground for everyone. It should be focused on just technical sharings. It is focused on hacking. So, and we wanted to be that kind of conference where it's not a business conference but a hacker conference. So now it's grown to be, I would say, the #1 hacker conference in the Philippines, and now it's attracted a lot more people. We are now on our 16 or 9. It's been a long time, but no, 16th, 17th run. At least that's where I have been on the.
Right.
It's basically I've been in the industry for 17 or kind of years, and now, like I mentioned, we came from 30. We are now last year we had 800, close to 800, and now we're going to about, I think we're expecting about around 1,000 people.
That's amazing.
It's really big, and as you said, passing through the new venue. It was a very huge venue, so very excited for it. Yeah,
and modern as well, isn't it? So it's a brand new venue, so it has all the modern facilities that you need for a high-tech conference like this.
Yeah, for sure. I think, of course, we loved our previous venue in Tal Vista, but we've just really outgrown the venue, and now it has all the enough space for us to all be on a single space, and then of course be able to accommodate now, because we are getting a lot more speakers from international, so we want to be closer to the airport as well, so it's more accessible, and it also kind of bring the ambiance, or the environment of a the usual conference in DEFCON, when you are in like a casino area, resort vibe. So
no, it is amazing, and you're right to point out that the previous conferences were held in a beautiful location overlooking an active volcano, right? In Tal, down south of Manila. But this is close to Clark Airport, International Airport. So we're expecting a lot more international attendees from all around the region. And I took a quick glance at the website, the ROOTCON, and there are some amazing presentations, aren't there, lined up? I saw that, for example, talking about a deep dive into North Korean hackers.
Yes.
Which is obviously a pretty hot topic at the moment. And one that particularly intrigues me is the use of AI in red teaming.
Yes, yeah.
What are your views on that? Because obviously, you know, there's definitely going to be an impact of the greater use of AI in creativity in red teaming. How do you view this?
I think I definitely view it with much on a more more on a positive note, because I think like people are saying right now, if you're not into AI, that your chances are you are falling behind with a lot of, you know, what's new right now. And I think um right now a lot of the adversaries are using AI, and it's really becoming relevant at the same time. Also, I think we are now at a stage wherein AI has matured to be something that can really be valuable, to be of use on on actual engagements for us. So I think for me, I think I'm really excited to see how the presentation would look like. But I think on our end with Theos in our team, we are actually already using it.
Yep.
So we are trying it out, and we have had a lot of success in terms of being able to leverage AI. It's not about, you know, making AI do everything, but it's about, like, I think the topic would be like, you know, it's about having like a six man, a support that you could, you know,
Right.
use for anything that, and have the team focus on, you know, what they want to do in terms of the engagement, and then have AI support with the rest. So I think that's the key.
So let's take a little step back, because many of the listeners may not understand what a red team actually is, right?
Sure.
You know, when in your field, you know, can you explain the differences between vulnerability assessments, VA, PT, pen testing, penetration testing, RT, red team, purple team, etc.? So how do you explain the differences between those?
Sure. So I actually, it's a question that is being asked a lot by clients actually. So I would say that I think what we need to kind of think about in terms when we try to differentiate this exercise would be the purpose or the goal of the exercise. First, when we talk about vulnerability assessments, we talk about, you know, finding vulnerabilities within, you know, a certain scope or a system. It's about, you know, validating if what are the weaknesses within the system, as opposed to penetration testing. It's similar in a way that it also looks for vulnerabilities, but it's now you're now trying to exploit those vulnerabilities and try to assess the impact of a certain vulnerability. So you're trying to assess the controls around it as well. So basically, aside from just finding the loopholes, you're also trying to exploit them, and therefore see if there are some controls that will prevent you from going deeper within that context. As for a red team, it would be more of the next level, in a way that you are still looking for weaknesses, but this time not just on the technical aspect of it. They're also covering the vulnerabilities in terms of the processes, in terms of, you know, the people's awareness. So in all layers at the same time, not just testing controls, but also now testing the response into certain attacks. So I think these are the different goals that, you know, uh, this exercise would fall into. And I would say that, when do you usually want to use each of them? I still say that all of them are equally important. It's just a matter of when you are supposed to be, you know, using each of these kinds of assessments. So vulnerability assessments, you use them when you're just trying to have a quick itinerary scan of or check of the hygiene or the security of your assets. Penetration testing is something that you do more. Let's say that, you know, vulnerability assessments, you run them maybe quarterly, and then penetration testing, to do them at least annually, to try to see, you know, and be able to validate controls. Red team, like I mentioned, is a more longer term of an exercise, so it takes a lot more effort, a lot more cost as well. So something that you only do when you are a certain level of maturity, and, you know, also at least maybe just annually. So overall, like I mentioned, the goals are different, but all of these exercises are equally important. It's just a matter of, you know, being able to implement them on different layers in your security.
Understood. And, you know, we also here talk about purple teaming.
Mhm.
And I noticed there's one of the presentations coming up in ROOTCON
Yeah.
called 50 Shades of Purple. So
Nice.
how do you explain purple teaming as it differentiate from the other types of testing?
So purple teaming is very interesting in a way that it's now not just having one team, you know, trying to assess or test the security of an organization. Purple team is now more of a collaborative exercise between the not just the red team as more or the offensive team, but also the blue team as well. So basically, the idea here is that we have our red team come in. We test a couple of attack scenarios, attack vectors, and then we work with our blue team and try to see if our blue team is able to um, detect it. Are they able to respond to it? No, as they should, and therefore be able to identify what are the gaps in terms of in their defenses, in their process, in their playbooks. So it's more of a collaborative exercise wherein we are not just trying to get in, but also really work together in terms of improving uh, the defensive capability as well of the organization. So
Got it.
yep.
Got it. So, although your team is predominantly well, it's based in Asia, and predominantly the majority of your team is here in the Philippines. I'll ask you a couple of questions relating to this. Firstly, what makes Filipinos so good at offsec, so good at the ethical hacking? And I stress ethical.
Well, actually, with I guess with us in the Philippines, we grew in hardship, so we are very good with finding ways around things, around systems. But I think it also goes not just with the Filipinos, but I think everyone in security. It's something that we need to kind of relearn how to go around the system. But I think the advantage of being in this region is that um, actually when I remember when I went to Singapore before, I was doing consulting. When if there's an issue with a certain system, so they have our usual support team come in, but when it's something that they couldn't solve, then they call in our special team, which apparently are the Filipinos, because it's not because it's more of, like you mentioned, we are very used to finding workarounds. We're very used to finding how to work with whatever limited things that we have. So I think that's the key. But in terms of the region itself, I would say that I think um, the security in the Philippines is also just growing right now. So there's a lot of really young talents that are starting to discover information security, are starting to learn. So I think in the Philippines right now, there's a lot of talent and a lot of people are very passionate and who are eager to be in cybersecurity. So yeah, I think that's the scene
Mm.
of that's the scene of infosec in the Philippines right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've seen, because obviously we've been advertising for newcomers to the team, and we're getting
Yeah.
a lot of response. So it does show that there is a thriving ecosystem, if you like, of
Yep.
talent that is out there, which is good news, right?
Yes, definitely.
And
Of course.
ROOTCON as a conference and your involvement in the community plays an important role in encouraging and energizing youngsters, or doesn't have to be youngsters, but anybody to participate or to be, somebody who wants to be involved in this industry, right?
Yep. Yes, definitely. I
Yeah.
think I forgot to mention last time, but I think the ultimate goal when we started RootCon was actually to just spread awareness of security in the Philippines, because there was really none at that time.
Right.
So like I mentioned, just really happy that it's thriving now.
Yep.
It's really thriving a lot. But yeah, I think we want to still continue to raise awareness and share that infosec is a real career, and then there's a lot of exciting stuff that we can do in the industry.
You raise an interesting point, though, about the maturity of the Philippines cybersecurity, landscape, if you like.
Yep.
How do you, because you work with clients throughohout the world, really,
Yep.
So how do you, as a Filipino yourself, how do you compare the level of maturity here in the Philippines with organizations from elsewhere?
Oh, first and foremost, I guess kind of note that I think in terms of talent, there's not really a lot of gap. I think there's a lot of really experience and really there are a lot of experts as well in the Philippines. It's just more of, when I say about maturity, it's just more of um, in terms of the number of professionals, or how aware the country is in terms of information security. Before, when we were talking about it, I think we were about, I would say, 10 years behind. That was what we were kind of calling it. A lot of the industries, corporations, companies in other countries are already have security as a practice in their companies, already have it as they're not just doing it out of compliance, already doing it as really, as it should be. In the Philippines, it's still something that um, it's still growing. Companies are slowly getting into security, and therefore, a lot of people now are more interested or learning about it. I think that's where I would say. So again, in terms of expertise, we're not really falling behind. There's a lot of experts. It's more of um, the industry is still new in the country, and that um, there's still a growing number of people and professionals here. And hopefully, as it grows a lot more, we'll be able to be on the same level as the other regions as well. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. So here at THEOS Cyber, we have three core pillars, right?
Yep.
Three. We have the offense, which you run. We have the defense, and we have the incident response capabilities. How does having these additional services benefit you in your work? Having the incident response capability and the defense capability.
I was actually very excited when incident response was brought in, because I think it just really kind of completed the made our service more of really holistic in a way.
Yes.
Made it whole. How does it benefit us? I think for longest time we have been saying that we wanted that we each of the teams were kind of helping each other out. That's what we kind of were marketing before. But to be honest, we were struggling initially. But now, I think right now we're now really seeing the value of having these three pillars on the same company. Right now, we are able to feed off knowledge and experience from the different pillars. Like right now, we and offense are able to learn about how the defense are actually securing it, and therefore we try to learn how we could improve our attacks and bypass it. At the same time, they're able also to see how we usually attack as well. So in terms of incident response, it's also very, very nice, because I think recently, to a recent exercise with Nate, we've he engaged our team in terms of thinking about scenarios of how we were supposed to attack a certain company. And that's where he kind of thought about how to use it for purple team exercises, and use it as well in terms of when doing investigations. He calls for us and try to see, I'm stuck at a certain point. How do you think the attacker actually went through after this? What will you be if you were the attacker? What would be your next steps in terms of this? So we were really getting a lot, or feeding off knowledge and experience from each other. So we're now able to not just grow from our personal studies or research, but now being able to really actually ask and gain information, gain learning from the other pillars. It's really helping us, all the three things grow.
And I spoke to Nate just recently on the podcast, actually, and he said exactly the same from the opposite perspective. In the investigations, it's so critical to have the hacker mindset that you guys bring to the table in unraveling what might have happened during a complex investigation. So I definitely feel that your teams are very complementary in that regard. And talking about incident response, obviously, as part of resilience for companies, mature companies, or companies that are on that journey towards maturity, resilience is critical. And as part of that resilience, incident response retainers are also critical. Incident response retainers, in a nutshell, are having that emergency service on standby should you need them in a crisis. You don't want, during a crisis, you don't want to be signing paperwork, agreeing limits of liability or other contractual terms during a crisis. So it's having that relationship in advance. But, people might think, well, that only really applies to incident response. But how does it, how do you get involved in these kind of retainers?
So yes, we are definitely involved with these kinds of retainers. And when I learned about this type of retainer, I was saying that, I was thinking this is actually very brilliant. So why do I say so? Because, as you mentioned, incident response retainers are designed to be to make it easier for you to have someone to support you when an incident happens. But the question now is, I'm spending money for that retainer if something happens as an insurance, but what if nothing happens, right?
Right.
How do I get value from the money that I paid? So now that's where that's where we come in. So if you have still have budget in your retainer that you could use, now you are able to utilize or use the retainer to access our offensive security services, be it pen testing, red teaming, or it could also be just little things about I don't know, maybe having like some sort of a briefing, some sort of a scenario based exercise. It could also be just some hours as well in terms of consulting or no at a certain point. But yeah, so I guess that's what I find really brilliant is that it's having insurance that someone will help you out, but also that you will get value from it because you're able to use it for all other services that you actually already have. And plus point is that you don't have to go through all the trouble of procurement so I guess it is very brilliant. Yeah.
It is, and it's very versatile. I think your points are well made there. But you also touched on an interesting point about tabletop exercises, because again, if you're designing scenarios, you have to again have that hacker mindset, right? So, of course, the crisis management team, the incident response team, can lead in terms of managing the crisis, but developing the scenario in the first place needs a hacker mindset. And I guess you and your team enjoy coming up with weird and wacky scenarios for clients.
Of course, definitely. I think it's having us imagine these kinds of things is something that really excites us. It gets our mindset cracking. So yeah, definitely. In terms of the retainers, you're right. I think aside from just the response to incidents, but also just having bringing the team, trying to simulate these types of incidents and scenarios could also just also bring value to that side of the of security, I would say. Yeah,
absolutely. And by the way, the listeners who are still with us at this point, don't forget to click the like or subscribe buttons on whatever platform you're listening on. It makes a big difference to us in getting the messages out there, these important messages. So I'd like to sort of finish up by asking, what advice would you give to an aspiring OffSec or offensive security professional, and what would they have to do to join your elite team at THEOS Cyber?
I guess my advice would be to, as they would say, try harder. In information security, this career is never easy. So it's not just about trying hard, but really going above that and really trying harder is my advice. Also, the other thing is that information security is not a sprint. It's more of a marathon, I would say. So you don't have to really try to run so fast. It's just a matter of you continuously and slowly, step by step, just really learning and growing. And that's how you're able to really, grow and grow in your career in information security. And so I guess when you are new, that's what I would like to say. Just learn a thing at a time. Focus on the things that you want to learn, even if it's just a topic a month, a topic every 6 months. Learn maybe operating systems for 6 months. Learn applications for 6 months, and then get a certification a year. You just have to go it step by step. Like I said, be patient and really try hard. And then once you have the skills, all the opportunities will come for you. So it's not about trying to find it. It will be in InfoSec, there's scarcity of skills and talent. So if you have it, all companies will be gunning for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the challenges, though, of being a youngster who's interested in getting into ethical hacking is perhaps crossing the line between ethical and unethical. How do you advise youngsters? Because it's so, it must be quite easy to cross that line, either inadvertently or in a rash, ill-advised or reckless moment.
Yep.
How do you advise youngsters who are just sort of learning about ethical hacking and want to test their skills?
First and foremost, I think curiosity is a very good thing, right? I think as we are in the industry, we have to really remain curious and try to learn. But I think you also just have to be careful to not cross the line, and if ever you have to, not get caught. But I think to be honest, it's every now and then we are able to learn from experiences that we have when we are researching and when we are being curious. But what I would want to say though is that just be careful, because I have seen people who had really very, very nice or very talented, good potential, but because they crossed the line and then a small mistake that they had before, they were not able to go back to the industry. So in the infosec industry, trust is very important, and so if they found out that, if they lose trust in you, then you won't be able to get into the industry. So I think that's my only advice. Stay curious, but of course think about the bigger things, right? What you really want to achieve, the dreams that you have, because if you cross the line, and sometimes if you're very unlucky, then you'll not be able to go back to
Yeah, trust is very important, and I don't think don't get caught is the best advice.
Also, yes.
Stay legit, and honestly, this is a great career to get into, isn't it? But make sure that everything is done ethically, because it's that magic word, trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So look, I always close the podcast by asking my guests what music they listen to, because I know everyone has a way of dealing with stress. My own personal way is I love to unwind with some good music and a good book. What music do you listen to?
So I'd like to say that I listen to alternative rock and punk rock music
Fantastic.
a lot, but I think right now I recently become a dad, so I'm now into Miss Rachel and a lot of the baby songs right now. So that's what I had no choice to have to listen to. But
Fantastic!
yes, it's
You're a
fun.
great dad. Look, Jayson. You're a great leader. You're a great dad, and it's been fantastic having you on the show. And it's been a fascinating conversation. And I'm sure the listeners will have learned a lot about this murky world of ethical hacking and offensive security. And hopefully, in the future, we can have a follow-up conversation for the THEOS Cybernova podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And as I mentioned, we're in front of a live audience, so please give Jayson a round of applause. THEOS Cybernova was presented by myself, Paul Jackson. The studio engineer and editor was Roy DeMonte. The executive producer was myself and Ian Carlos. And this podcast is a co-production between THEOS Cyber and W4 Podcast Studio in Dubai.